Welcome back from the ad break, and let's move on to the next part of our lesson, and that is finance. So the first part that we are going to look at is exchange rate. The number of units of a foreign currency that are bought to 1 unit of the local currency, or vice versa. So for example, $1 is to 18 rands and 1 cent. So the exchange rate in America for $1 is 18 rands and 1 cent. How much in South African rands will you have if you have $15? So we find the amount of rands as follows. Now remember, we have been given $1 is to 18 rands, but now we are looking for $15 and not just $1. So how am I going to move from that? Remember, we said that when we move from one rate to another, we move by multiplying. So from 1, for me to get to 15, I'm going to multiply by 15. But now that means what I do on one side of the rate, I'm supposed to go and do on the other side as well. And that is going to be a multiplication by 15. When you punch that into a calculator, 18,01 multiplied by 15 is going to give us an answer of 270 rands and 15 cents. And that would be our amount in rands. Then we are going to move on to budget. So a budget is an estimate of money to be spent for a certain period of time. For example, having a budget of 350 rands for 1 month. So an example here is that Tanya has a budget of 350 rands for the month of July. Look at her budget list and calculate how much she will have for the rest of the month. So these are the items that Tanya has spent on for the month. So what is going to happen here? We need to add how much she's going to spend for the month. That is going to be our 60. We are going to add the 100. We are going to add the 100. And we are going to add the 50. So when we add all those amounts, remember there are no ones. When we add 6 tens and 5 tens, that's 110. So we are going to place the 100 there, and then we are going to add 100, 100, and another 100. That gives us 300s. So Tanya has spent 310, but she has 350 rands. So when she spends 310, what is the answer going to be? If you have 40 rands, then you are absolutely correct. This means that Tanya is only going to have 40 rands left for the month. Let's move on to discount. So a discount is a reduction from the usual cost of something. For example, a 65 rands discount of 150 is 85 rand. Let's look at a practical example to see how we got to that 85 rands. A shirt is on sale at a store. The original price is 150, but there is a 65 rands discount. How much will the shirt be? So our answer we are going to find by saying the original price minus the discount, because remember this is a reduction. So the original price was 150 rands and our discount is 65 rands. So how much is she going to buy the shirt for? Yes, you are correct. It is going to be 85 rands. What about profit? So a profit is a financial gain between the amount spent and the amount earned. For example, a phone bought at 3,000 rands and resold at 3,550 rands will gain a profit of 550. So let's see how we calculate that profit. Palesa bought a phone for 3,000 rands and resells it for 3,550 rands. How much is her profit? So how are we going to calculate profit here? We are going to look at the money earned and we are going to subtract the money spent. So this is the money that she received and we are going to subtract the money that she spent. The money earned here was 3,550, but the money spent was 3,000 rands. So what is 3,550 minus 3,000? Yes, it is going to be 150 rands. Let's look at loss. So we just looked at profit, where you are gaining money. Now we are going to look at loss. When a product is sold for less than what it costs. For example, a bag bought at 150 and resold at 138 rands has a loss of 12 rands. So, let's see. Mike buys a bag for 150 rands, but only manages to resell it for 138 rands. How much is his loss? The answer here we are going to get by saying that the money earned minus the money spent. So what was the money earned? Mike only could get 138 rands from this bag. But how much did he spend? He spent 150 rands on this bag. So can we see that the money that he received is less than what he spent? If you punch that into your calculator as it is, you will notice that your calculator is giving you a negative answer, which is a negative 12. Do not ignore the negative. What does this negative mean? The negative means that this is a loss. It means that Mike has lost money from this sale. Let's look at a loan. Okay, so a loan is money borrowed with the promise of paying it back with interest. For example, wanting to buy a laptop that costs 12,500 rands, but only having 2,000 rands in a savings account. So what is going to happen here? Let's see. Delisile wants to buy a laptop for 12,500 rands. She has a deposit of 2,000 rands. She gets a loan from the shop for the remaining amount. So we now need to calculate how much this loan was that Delisile got. So the purchase price of this laptop is 12,500 rands. But she already has 2,000 rands in her account. So how much is the loan that she has borrowed here? We are going to subtract 2,000 rand from 12,500 rands. And how much is that going to be? This means that our loan amount is going to be 10,500 rand. So this is the money that Delisile is going to borrow from the shop. But now when you borrow money from the shop has to make an agreement for you paying back that money. And that's where we get to hire purchase. So hire purchase is an arrangement for buying goods now and paying back the money later using monthly installments. For example, if you borrow 10,500 rand, so 10,500 rand is lent from the bank or the shop and paid back using monthly installments of 950 rands for 12 months. Let's see what Delisile does with this hire purchase. So Delisile gets a loan for the remaining amount after paying that deposit of 2,000 rand on a laptop that costs 12,500 rands on hire purchase to buy the laptop. The remaining amount is 10,500 rands. She agrees to pay 950 rands monthly for 12 months. So we now need to calculate the total amount of money that Delisile is going to pay back. And we find that by saying the deposit that she paid already plus the total monthly repayments. So we know that the deposit was how much? That was the 2,000 rands. And how much did she agree to pay back to the store? That is the 950 rands for 12 months. And when we calculate this, then this is going to mean that we are going to say 2,000 rand plus, if you punch in 950 rands multiplied by 12 on your calculator, that is going to give you 11,400. And when we add these two amounts together, the total amount that she paid back to the shop is 13,400. So can we see that she paid back 13,400, but then the laptop only cost 12,500 rands. So what is this extra amount that she has paid here? That is the interest. So what is interest? A fee paid for borrowing money. For example, when the bank charges 900 rands for borrowing money from them. So remember Delisile, she paid an overall price of 13,400 rand for that laptop. But that laptop costs 12,500 rands. The extra amount that she paid is the interest. And this is how we calculate it. So we are going to say the total payments that she paid back, and we are going to subtract the purchase price of that laptop. And the answer that we get, which is of course 900. So 900 is the extra amount that Delisile had to pay for that laptop, and that is the interest that she paid. So the last form of interest that we are going to look at now is simple interest. So simple interest is when interest is calculated for a number of years on a certain amount. For example, an interest of 1,200 on 4,000 over 5 years. Tasha deposits 4,000 in the bank. The bank will give her an interest of 6% per annum, that is per year, for 5 years on simple interest. So let's see how that interest is calculated. So we are going to calculate 6% of 4,000. So when we say 4,000 multiplied by 6%, that gives us an answer of 240. So that is interest for just the 1 year. But remember, we are being given 5 years here. So that means that the interest will be given to her per annum, which is per year. And that will mean we will say 240 multiplied by 5, which gives us 1,200 rands as an interest. So in total, this means that Tasha will gain an interest of 1,200 rands. And then the total amount that she will have in her bank account, that's going to be the 4,000 that she initially had. And then we are going to add the interest that Tasha has gotten from the bank. And that is going to give us 5,200 rands. So in total, she's going to have 5,200 rands in the bank. But then there is a formula that is used to calculate this simple interest. And that is the last point that we are going to look at today. So we are still dealing with the same scenario. Tasha putting 4,000 in the bank and then 6% per annum for 5 years. So this is how it will be calculated. This is the principal amount, which is the amount that has been put into the bank, multiplied by the interest rate, multiplied by the period being the amount of time. And we are going to divide all of this by 100, and we are going to get our answer. So just to use letter to represent that, P is for the principal amount, R is for the interest rate, and T is for the period, which is the time. So when we go and we substitute those values, that is going to give us. So remember, we have 4,000 rands, and can you see how I am using brackets? That is going to be 4,000 rand multiplied by 6 for our interest rate, multiplied by 5 for our period. And when we divide all of this by 100, that should be giving you an answer of 1,200. So remember, this 1,200 is the interest. But then when we add it to the original amount that Tasha had in the bank account, which is that 4,000. So that means we are going to say that 4,000 plus that 1,200. And we know that the final answer is going to be 5,200 rands. So that's our interest or our finance. And that brings us to the end of our lesson today. I really hope you enjoyed it and you understood everything. I hope to see you next time so we can do some more maths. Goodbye.